How are you? We are early today for our live. I feel like I'm not in the screen. We're going to get this together. 2 hours early is a little bit taxing on us, but we're going to get it together.
And this is my kid's spring break, so I've been not in my regular work week.
Yes. How are you all? I hope you are doing well. I hope you are having a wonderful start to your spring. I see her. Our guest today is Bridget Tebaldi.
And we are talking.
Okay, there. Is that maybe a little bit better?
I don't know today.
No.
Yeah, that's good.
How are you? It's
Hey
nice
there, how are you guys?
Good.
Good.
It's nice to finally meet you.
I know. I'm glad that we were able to make this happen and everybody's well.
Yes.
That's
Well, what no one else knows is we were going to have you on several weeks ago, but my mom had some heart issues, so she's doing wonderful now, and we are back at it. And we're happy to be able to reconnect with you.
Yeah, me too, especially right before Easter. That's awesome. I'm
Yeah,
glad. So, yes.
Well, I feel like I need to. I was having PVCs. I don't know who knows what those are, but it's an irregular heartbeat. And it was elevating and slowing, and no one knows quite why. So it's not heart disease or high blood pressure or heart attack. It's beats. So I felt like I needed to clarify that, just so nobody worries unnecessarily. It was probably stress. So I've been trying to be happier.
Well, again, I'm glad that you're doing well now. So, yes.
So it's nice to meet you.
Yes, you too.
Finally.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yes. So I'll give a little direction on how our podcast works for everyone watching. We do a question style. We don't adhere tightly to it, but it keeps us organized. So if it seems like I'm asking questions from a list, I am. Because I don't want to forget anything. We've tried to just, go by the seat of our pants, and then everybody starts taking lots of rabbit trails.
Yes. And also, we love picking, and finding the guest and getting to know a little bit more about you. And these are things I feel like you are amazing at. So they are always questions toward our guests.
Yes.
Specifically.
So it's raining here, and when it rains, our connections aren't so great. So I'm going to be reading them off of my phone. But before we get started, Bridget, would you like to give us a short bio about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I am Bridget. We live on a small farm in Pennsylvania. I have 5 kids, ages almost 10 to almost 2. So we have a lot going on here, like this little one here. And we do homeschool as well. And so that's sort of the personal side of things. And then from a business perspective, I run 2 businesses. One is our farm-based business where we hold weddings and events. Been doing that now for going into our 13th year, which is wild. And then for Little Red Wellness, this one that's for this Instagram page, I do a ton of nervous system work with women, and it's specifically around it's bringing Jesus into everything, because he's the ultimate healer and he can heal everything that we are experiencing. And so again, it's just it's all about helping women to become that person that can hold everything that God's putting on their plate and do it from a sense of like peace and not the sense of like chaos. And we can do that by rewiring and retraining our nervous system, repairing it so that it doesn't feel the need to respond in the way that it has before, whether that be like yelling at your kids, yelling at your husband, sending off the email really quick before actually thinking about it, rushing out the door, whatever is going on, and doing it from a place of like, everything's good, we're safe, and we can carry all of this that God's put into our hands, and we can carry it really well. So
I love it.
That's perfect. That is that is absolutely perfect for the times that we live in.
So
yeah.
you have a, just to clarify, you have a barn on your property that you guys rent out for weddings?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. I
Yeah.
love it.
It was built in 1905. We've owned the property for almost 20 years now. And about 13 years ago, my sister was getting married and needed a place, and my mom was like, "Well, we have this barn, so let's just do it here." And I started a business right after that because people started asking about it. And we're seasonal because we didn't want to renovate the barn totally. We wanted to keep it a barn because it's just so beautiful. It has all the original, if you're familiar with architecture from back then, like you can see how it's all hand-hewn wood. It has the pegs. There's no nails or screws or any metal in it at all. It's really amazing. So again, we're seasonal, so we're starting to get into our busy season. And then we also have horses, like right outside my window. That's why I sometimes look out. You'll see me because I'm checking on the horses. We have chickens, we have dogs, cats, and then we also grow hay as well.
Very cool. Well, you are a busy woman.
That is very busy. That is very busy. What state do you live in?
I'm in Western Pennsylvania. We are in the middle of Amish country. So,
Oh, wonderful.
yeah, what about you
That's,
guys?
we're in Southwest Michigan.
Nice.
We're
So,
right in the, I don't know how you do it. I think they say we're right here. We're in the southwest corner.
very cool. So similar weather for us then.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
starting to get warmer.
Yes. Hallelujah.
I know.
We're still wish-washy. We don't know if it's going to snow or if it's going to be 70 degrees out.
I know. I saw on Easter it's supposed to be like 80 degrees and then it's supposed to snow overnight. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
This doesn't make sense, but whatever.
Yeah, Michigan thinks that it's time for April Fools all of March and all of April.
That's funny.
Always likes to play the jokes with us.
Yep, for sure.
Well, are you ready to get started?
Yep.
Okay. So people talk a lot about nervous system regulation right now. I hear a lot of it, especially on Instagram. There's lots of people talking about it. How do you understand real peace as a Christian woman? Where does the body fit into that?
Yeah, for sure. I actually just did a training on this for my program related to Holy Week and how Jesus was a human person and experienced everything that we're experiencing from a nervous system perspective. And so nervous system has become sort of like a hot topic recently. And just a little background, I started doing this work in birth work, and I was noticing that a lot of the women who were coming to me, it was about birth trauma essentially. And a lot of the women that were coming to me were experiencing a feeling of not being safe. And so after a few years of doing that, I was really digging into like, there's something to this idea of safety, especially around birth, but in life in general. And what I discovered is that a lot of us all of us have these wounds that we've been inflicted with just because we're humans and we live in a fallen world. And those wounds, I base them off of the 7 wounds of Christ. So these are things like fear, abandonment, powerlessness, rejection, etc. And all of us experience these, even if we had like the most idyllic, best childhood ever. The nervous system is essentially there to help make sure that we stay safe. And so it may have learned, again, even in the best situation, that if a person uses this tone of voice or has this body language or is this environment, then that's not a safe place for us to be. And then we take those, unless we're intentional about rewiring them, into our adult life. And so that is what is stealing a lot, because I hear all the time from women like, I just want peace, like I just want to feel calm, like I just had a session with somebody this morning, she's like, I just want to be the calm mom. And so when we really get into like, what does that look like? Peace is simply just, I don't remember the exact definition from the dictionary, but peace is just that like tranquility, the freedom from disturbance. And what's interesting is that whenever we get into this, like, what do they actually want? They don't necessarily want peace. Like, they think that they do. But what they want, if you dig even deeper, is to feel safe and secure. And by feeling safe and secure, what that does is it allows us to really express ourselves in a way that feels like people are going to get us. Like, it's going to be okay. Even if we have a moment, because we're human, like, nothing has to be perfect. Like, that's ultimately what people want, is this feeling of inner safety. And that feeling comes from, again, addressing these wounds and realizing, like, whose you are in Christ, and how, like, he can redeem all of these things that we've gone through. And so I take, yes, the science approach, where we talk about polyvagal theory and the limbic system and everything like that, but really bringing faith into it as well. So it's not just the body, but it's also that spiritual side of things as well. Because again, Jesus had the nervous system just like we did. He knows what it's like. And whenever we can really lean into that and trust that he went through similar situations and he can heal everything, then that's whenever we can really start to see a difference and get to that quote unquote peace that everybody wants, which is really just that, like, inner safety, or the ability to be yourself, like truly yourself.
I love that. I think as a modern society, we often forget that Jesus came as all God and all man. And the all man part is maybe difficult to believe because of who he is, you know?
Yeah.
For me, especially, he's ultimately patient. He's ultimately kind. He's ultimately forgiving, ultimately merciful. He's all of this beauty wrapped up into a package. And we don't know any other human being like
Yeah.
that. So it's kind of relating to him is beautiful. And I think that we also forget that he is actually a man as well.
Yes. Yeah, I was literally just talking about this, where in the training we go through Holy Week. So we started with Palm Sunday, then Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Holy Saturday, Easter. And with Holy Thursday, after the Last Supper, like, Jesus goes to the garden. And what's interesting is, if you look at the root word of Gethsemane, it actually is like oil press, which, if you think about it, what's the purpose of an oil press? Is to press out, like, all of the good out of the person. But how do you do that? By pressure, like making things, like, it has to go through something hard. And so I just thought that part was interesting. But whenever I was really reflecting on this to prepare for it, I was leaning more into that idea that, yeah, God had it, like, Jesus has this human body. He's experiencing everything that we experience from a nervous system perspective. And so we hear in the scripture, like, he is saying, like, if it's your will, take this cup from me. And so he's kind of going through that state of, like, I don't really want to do this. But, like, ultimately, like, and again, he already knows what's going to happen. And he still is like, I don't really want to do this, because he knows that this is something that is going to be so painful physically, but also just that spiritually as well, because he knows that so many people are going to walk away from him. And he goes through all of the physical side of things too. So he goes through all of the nervous system responses, where he's literally, like, almost having, again, I don't know for sure, and we don't know for sure, but, like, it almost sounds like a mild panic attack, where he's like, I don't want to do this. Like, I am anxious. I am nervous. Like, I'm sweating. I'm doing all these things. But again, he obviously still does it, because he knows that this is what's needed in order to redeem the world. And I think it's important for us to remember that, where it's like, yes, God did not have to experience those physical feelings, but he chose to, so that he could give that example of what it looks like to experience these feelings. Again, experience, and by feelings, I mean, like, the physical side of things and also the emotional side of things. And everybody knows what it feels like whenever you get anxious, where it's like, you get that phone call from somebody that you're like, I don't want to talk to this person, and your chest sort of, like, tightens. Mm-hmm. Or you get the email from somebody and you're like, oh, what just happened? Or, like, even if you get, like, the bill at the restaurant, some people have a lot of issues around that. Jesus knows what it feels like to go through all of that. And he still chose to not have this pass cup from him. And he's showing us what's possible if we surrender our will to God. And it's hard, like he said, but it's so beautiful whenever we can really feel that human experience and then also give it all back up to him.
Amen. That's beautiful. It's I don't think that we can be reminded of that enough. I shared on our page last week because everybody goes through things. We go through things daily. You know, we have to trust Christ daily, all day, minute by minute, second by second sometimes. And I posted this, it's a Latin, I think it says Delinda Rotolo. I'm in Latin, that means, oh Jesus, I surrender myself unto you. Take care of everything. It reminded me of what you just said. The surrender, you know, it's human for us to hold on. We need to release ourselves to him. Our will needs to be given to Christ.
Yep. Yeah.
We need to free ourselves to him so that he can take care of everything.
Yes. And I think one of the important things that a lot of us don't remember is the goal of doing a lot of the nervous system work is not perfection, because that's never going to happen this side of heaven. The goal, and it's not even necessarily good for us to have like a nervous system that's always perfect 100% of the time. The goal is to be able to carry everything that God's put on you, like what he's given you. And then whenever you have a stressful state, or whenever you have a situation that is difficult, or you're experiencing these emotions, that's when the nervous system work comes in, where you can move through these different states fairly easily. And just really quickly, I'm not going to get too much into it. Okay. There's three main states. There's the dorsal vagal, which is, quote, like the good state. This is the one that most of us want to be in a lot of times, because this is where we feel good, everything's good. Then there's the activated or the sympathetic state, which is where this is like whenever you think about being chased by the bear, your heart rate increases, you start to sweat, like all those sort of things. And then we have the shutdown state, and this is where, or did I say the dorsal state? I don't remember which one I said first. I think I said that.
Dorsal vagal.
Okay, yeah. And then we have the shutdown state. And with that shutdown state, we have, this is where, like, we have the to-do list. We can do all the things. But I said dorsal vagal first. I'm sorry. The good one is ventral vagal. Now I'm down here at the shutdown. That's dorsal vagal. And the shutdown state is where we have, like, the to-do list. We know what we need to do, but it's like, we just want to turn on Netflix and watch a show, or we just want to read a book, or like we just want to do nothing, or like grab the snack and eat it. And those, again, these states are not bad. Like, God gave all of these states to us for a specific reason, but it's not normal or good for us to stay in that shutdown or that dorsal vagal state for long. We're meant to be able to move back and forth, almost like a ladder. It's not good for us to be in that activated state when there's not a bear chasing us, or when we're not doing a HIIT workout or anything like that. Like, it's normal for us to be able to move back and forth. And so I just want to make sure that everybody understands that, where the goal is not perfection, or to always have this, like, everything's great, everything's wonderful, my life's perfect. It's to be able to carry what God has given you. And when the hard times come, because we know that they're going to, how do you handle those? So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that.
Thank you for that clarification. It is important for us to understand that although we are striving to be Christ-like, this side of heaven, I don't know if we ever reach perfection. We are found perfect in him, and yet we are still human.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, and I also think that a lot of people have in their minds that if you're a Christian, your life is just cupcakes and rainbows and you have no worries and you have, I'm like, whoa, that's not right. Yeah. Because, being a Christian, I feel like the weight of getting it right is always there and is always like, even though we are all human and we do fail, like we need him in
Yeah.
every aspect to get through our day to day.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry, go ahead.
oh no, I was gonna get the next question because I really like this question too. I'm actually working on. I'm writing something about this, so I'm very curious to see what you have to say. A lot of faith-filled women are capable and ambitious, but always on edge. What do you see going on beneath the surface of that?
This is a loaded question. So we can get into the physical side of things, like they're probably in an activated state, which means that again, they are always looking for danger. They're always going to perceive a threat. Maybe your husband says something to you and you're like, why did you say that? Like, that's the wrong tone of voice or whatever. When in reality, he might have just said something really nice and you just perceived it the wrong way. So we can talk about that all day long. But ultimately, underneath of that are these wounds that we all experience. And these wounds are showing up in the sense of, and this is like a scientific thing, you can look up studies, where our nervous system has learned, usually around by the age of 7-ish, a little bit longer, but usually around the age of 7, our nervous system has encoded a lot of pieces of information to memory. And so that has told you that if maybe your parents looked at you in this certain way or said something to you, then you have taken that and you have learned, like, my worth is in this. Or if you were always told, like, you need to get straight A's and you came home with a B and maybe your mom was like, why'd you get this B? Like, you should have gotten this A, whatever it is. Then you learned, like, I am bad because I didn't get this A. And so this is a story that your body is now literally like looking for information to reinforce, because our bodies love, um, our nervous system loves consistency. It loves familiarity. And so even if it's not a quote like good thing, it's always going to try to find something that will reinforce the story that we have learned. And so if you grew up, again, learning like, I have to be quiet because I don't want to make anybody upset, I have to be the good girl, I have to be the people pleaser, unless you're super intentional about it, you will literally do whatever you can to reinforce that story that you tell yourself. And so, like, if you are the ambitious person and if it's not coming from a place of like healing and um, like God's will, then it's likely a nervous system response where you will continue to work like that until you work yourself to burnout. And then people think like, oh, I just need to stop my business, or oh, I need to take a break or something like that. When in reality, like, no, you need to get to the root of why you're feeling like you need to work so hard in the first place. Is there's a feeling that you don't deserve to be taken care of, that you feel like you have to work to earn your worth, things like that. So again, really dig to the root of like, what is the story that you're telling yourself? And again, ambition is a good thing. Like, holy ambition is beautiful. But a lot of us, until we've done this work really, really hard, because that's what makes us feel safe. That's what makes us feel worthy. And if you're doing it from a place of healing and, again, according to God's will, then it's going to feel peaceful. Even if maybe you're not making a lot of money or you're not making sales or whatever, it's going to feel peaceful because, again, it's according to God's will, and you know that this is just one way that you're creating something beautiful for him. This is not showing that anything about your worth or what you can do or how good you are. Versus if you have not healed these things, then you're always going to be striving and you're always going to feel like it's never enough. You're always going to want to work harder, and it's always going to feel, again, like it's just not good enough. And so it's totally a nervous system response if you're feeling like you need to work harder and it's not from that place of peace.
So, do you think that in our modern society, we have value, worth, and success tied together? Is it feels like the American way? It seems like it seems like our worth is tied to our success, and success shows up like money,
Yep.
status, power,
Yep.
and we are worthy to God because we are created in his image and likeness, not how much money we make.
Exactly. Yes. And
How
one
do,
of
how do we
sorry.
tell our nervous system that?
Actually, that's what I was just going to say. One of the best ways that I actually did a podcast about this a few weeks ago, where a lot of us struggle with scrupulosity, which is where we kind of get really hard on ourselves whenever we know what we should be doing and we kind of mess up, or like we know that we shouldn't be committing this sin, but it's like so hard to not be prideful and like to not give in to the argument and whatever. And the greatest way to combat that scrupulosity, or even just that feeling of like, how do I like how do I truly step into this person that God's calling me to be, is doing the nervous system healing, the repair work, for sure. But one of the biggest things that you can do like right now today is to create something. And the reason that creating is so important is because like back in Genesis, where it literally tells us like God created us in his image and in his likeness. And what does God do? Right? He creates. And so God is the creator. He's not somebody who just consumes. He is somebody who creates. And so one of the biggest things that you can do to really start to shift your mindset and your body around this work, if you're not going to do the healing work right away, is to create something. And to know that just by creating something, that's going to activate this part in your body that is going to help you to be Christ-like. Like, I am made in God's image. And create can mean anything. This can mean painting, writing, singing, whatever it is. Literally, it can be anything. It can be playing a sport. It can be whatever. Because by doing those things and creating something, that's going to help reinforce your identity that, like, I am made in Christ or God's image and likeness. And therefore, I am good. Because he declared it multiple times in the Bible. And so that's one of the first things. And then that you can really repair work, because again, you have to change the story that your body is telling itself. When you can change the story, or I'm sorry, not even the story, the way it perceives the story, it's going to change everything. So as an example, I'll stick with the birth stuff because that's what I did it for so many years. Again, so many women came to me with birth trauma. They were like terrified to go to the hospital again, terrified to work, like to give birth, whatever. And what we do is we go through with imaginative prayer. And we really ask Jesus to heal this part of what they went through. And I do this through a very specific way. And what happens then is that it allows your body to no longer perceive that experience in the same way. So it does not change what you went through, because we can't change the past, right? But it does change the way that your body understands what it went through. So instead of feeling fearful or like taken advantage of or not listened to, we can now ask Jesus to reveal himself in that situation. Again, not because he necessarily wanted it to happen like that, but because he allowed it for some reason. And by him revealing himself and by walking through some exercises that I have people go through, it again allows their body to rewire how it understands that, and then therefore rewire how it will understand similar situations in the future. So there, again, the quick way is kind of being more like trying to be Christ-like by creating, by leaning into that. And then the longer way, but super effective way, is by doing that nervous system repair work.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know if this is the same thing or not. I just learned about this when I was having the PDCs, is the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous
Yeah.
system, the
Yep.
fight or flight or the safety. Is that right? How
Yep.
that?
Yep. So whenever I was
So
speaking about the activated, that's that. Yeah. Yep. That's exactly it.
I haven't, my doctor's appointment is tomorrow. They're going to see if they can figure out I wore a heart monitor for 2 weeks. But in this meantime, it's been, I think, about 6 weeks now. If they start to flare up, I can do the box breathing, the breathe in for 5, hold for 5, exhale for 5, rest for 5. I actually can get them to go away just by doing that box breathing, which is wildly interesting.
Yep.
Really. I mean, if you think about that, that's crazy that a breathing technique could fix a physical symptom in your body.
Yep.
It's the way that I understood it. You can tell me if this is correct. The breathing is giving my body a chance to calm down, and it's almost tricking it into telling it it's safe.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly right. And that's where you have something called your limbic system. I'm not going to get all into it. Your limbic system has your amygdala and your hippocampus in it. Your amygdala is like the danger. It's always looking for danger. And by giving your amygdala a little bit of time to kind of go back offline, it allows your prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of your brain, to start processing again and to look around you and be like, oh, there's not actually a bear chasing me. I don't need to be upset about anything. Everything's okay. And so by literally just like saying out loud, like, I am feeling anxious, I'm going to breathe now, that gives your brain a little bit of time to, again, and it happens very, very quickly, thankfully, but it gives your brain a little bit of time to switch out of that activated state and more into that thinking, logical brain. And it's super important. And that's one of the big things with this. That's more of like the nervous system regulation side of things. So that's a nervous system regulation tool, just like journaling or being outside or those sort of things. These are regulation tools that are super good and super helpful. Sometimes though, it's super important to get to the root of the why your body feels the need to go into these states in the first place. Sometimes they are just a physical state where maybe you are literally having a heart problem. Sometimes though, it can be more of that your body perceives something, it sends to danger, and so therefore it wanted to keep you safe. And so it went into that activated state. So it kind of just depends on the situation, but that's exactly right.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that technique. Let me tell you.
Another one you
So
can do is humming. So if you
humming,
just hum, yep, if you just like a low, gentle hum, you can even put your hand on your chest with a little bit of pressure. What that does is it activates the vagus nerve, which is going to also help you calm down and realize that everything's okay. So yep, humming and breathing are really good. So
that's awesome. I'm going to try. Everybody would know if I was doing that, though. I can kind of break away. Well, my family loves me, which thank you, Lord. That's such a beautiful gift to be
Well, I know
thankful
you
for.
have to try it now.
I know. I don't. If anybody in my family now sees me like getting sore, quiet, are you okay, Mom? Mom, are you okay? And I don't want to upset anybody, so I just kind of break away
yeah.
by myself. I can hum quietly by myself.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything
I'll
major.
try it.
It's literally like it just activates that vagus nerve that again is going to tell your body like everything's good.
I'm gonna try that. Thank you.
That is so fascinating. It's just like these tiny little things. We had a guy on our podcast a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about just like little perspective changes and like just tiny little things you can implement in your everyday life that can be such life changing. Like,
Yeah, for sure. It's huge.
yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna try it. So, mothers set the tone of home, whether they realize it or not. What happens spiritually and emotionally when a woman lives in constant stress?
Okay, so yeah, that's very true that mothers do set the heart of the home. And so from a physical perspective, what happens is that everybody knows kind of what cortisol is, right? Cortisol is that stress hormone. If we have high cortisol, that's like a bad thing, right? And so I'm going to back up a little bit in the pathway. What actually controls cortisol, yes, it's the stress hormone, but what actually controls it is dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. So these three that I just mentioned, these are going to be like the love hormone, the bonding hormone, the joy hormones. And so though if those are high, it's a pathway that actually reduces cortisol. What happens when cortisol is reduced is that your sex hormones, so your progesterone, your estrogen, LH, so on, can actually regulate, and then you have, quote, normal function, whether that be fertility, weight maintenance, acne, whatever, moods, stuff like that. And so again, a lot of us focus on either these sex hormones or the cortisol, which again aren't bad, but it's not truly getting to the root of it. We need to go back even further again to those serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine. Now, what happens whenever your dopamine, serotonin, or oxytocin is low is that your cortisol has the opportunity to get higher because there's this feedback loop. When your cortisol is high, again, it's nervous system wise saying danger's happening. Therefore, we need to not worry about reproduction because it's not a priority. It's not safe to reproduce here. So your sex hormones are going to be low. When your sex hormones stay low, that leads to infertility, mood swings, weight gain, acne, all the things like that. And so that's sort of the physical side of what's happening there. Now, from a spiritual perspective, when your cortisol is high and you're in that activated state, you are physiologically, you are less open to hearing the word of God because your amygdala is so activated. And your hippocampus is also working on overdrive. Meaning that your brain is literally not in a space to perceive God's voice. It's in a space to look for danger. And so the opposite's true whenever our cortisol is low. And cortisol low does not mean zero. That's actually not very good for you. It has to be in this well-controlled area levels. And so when your cortisol is low in a normal regulated state, that's going to allow you to be able to perceive God's voice, the word of God, in a much clearer way because you're no longer going to be striving. You're no longer going to be trying to make things happen on your own. You're going to trust that he is right there. He's going to be with you. And so there's, again, that physiological and biological perspective, but then there's also that spiritual side of things that's super important too.
It is. Well, I was reminded, I wanted to look up this so I get it exactly right. So Philippians 4:6 says, be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God. So Jesus started with, don't be anxious, but pray.
Yeah.
Which, easier said than done sometimes, Jesus.
Yes. But again, he modeled that for us, especially in like Gethsemane, where he was, again, I don't want to put like words to what he experienced because he was God, obviously not human. Well, like us, I mean. But like he experienced that anxiety, but he still worked through it, even though he was like sweating blood, like he worked through it and he offered it up. And now we're not necessarily, I mean, potentially we're called to sweat blood and like to go through that physical cross, but ours is more likely going to be more modern and like what we perceive as danger. And it's a matter of not carrying the cross on our own, but allowing God to allow God to carry it, and then we help him carry that our cross, because we cannot physically do it alone.
I had this very strange encounter with Jesus the other day. It's just been a few days ago. I've been, you know, I'm not a worrywart, but I've always got 30 tabs open, like check this, check this, check this, replace that check with something new, all the things. It's just like a nonstop going on in my mind.
Yeah.
And there's been a few things going on with me that I'm like, just keep coming back, keep coming back. And it feels like I'm doing something wrong to worry about it. It feels like I'm disappointing God. I'm not being a proper Christian. I'm not getting this right.
Yeah.
And so I was out on a run the other day, and I'm like, just really like, Lord, I just don't know what else to do. So, okay, I will worry with you as you are with me. I will worry about these things with you. And it was just the strangest thing. He wasn't upset for me. He wasn't upset with me for saying that.
Yep.
And then it seemed like my thoughts in turn went into the conversation with him, and then the worry disappeared. It was
Yep.
the strange, like he wasn't upset with me over it, and it
Yep.
was
It's
a
beautiful.
way for me to enter into him in this super obscure way, which he worked it all out. I think probably the spiritual side of what you're saying is get to Jesus somehow, some way.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the examples that I love to give women that I work with is okay, so we all have had, or maybe of kids who like want to help set the table. This is usually when they're like really little, when they actually still want to help set the table. And they're like, I can carry this glass of water and it's like really full. And as the mom or dad, you're like we know that you're gonna spill this, but it's like so cute to see them want to try. And so you give them the glass, knowing full well that they're going to walk to the table and it's going to like lose half the water. You're going to have to clean it up. But they walk to the table, they take those really slow steps, they're like staring at it as they walk, and then they put it on the table. And even though half the water's now gone, like there's this sense of like accomplishment, like, look what I did. Like I took the water from here to there and I did a great job. And as the parent, you're like reveling in that joy with them, all the while knowing like, yeah, but you kind of messed up a lot. But like, but again, as the parent, you're like, yeah, you did it. Like that's so amazing. Like it was so cool to watch you do that. Like great job. And I feel like that's sort of how God is with us a lot too, where it's like He knows full well that we're gonna mess things up, but it's that intention that He wants, where it's like if we're just trying our best to like to do what He puts in front of us, even though He knows we're probably gonna screw it up, then like He'll take care of the mess that happens afterwards, as long as we're just carrying what He's given us, even if again we spill half of it on the ground or whatever. Like it's okay. He's going to take care of it all. And so I love to think about it like that too.
That is, you just described it perfectly about the other day.
Oh, that's
Like,
awesome.
yeah, I'll just worry with you. And
Yeah.
yeah, you just described it perfectly. Jesus is much better to us, I think, than we expect him to be.
Oh, for sure.
His patience are unending. They
Mm.
would have to be dealing with us.
I know. And I think one thing with that too is um, it's so easy to remember the verse of like God knows every hair on your head, like He counts them and that sort of thing. Like it's easy to remember that, but it's hard to remember sometimes that like God wanted like you, like He wanted a Bridget, like He wanted whoever is watching this, like He wanted you, and He did not have to create you. Like there's nothing that we can like give Him besides love that like He couldn't get from anybody else, but He wanted us and all of our idiosyncrasies and like all of our weirdness and like all of our failings, and He knew that we were going to make it happen, but like He still wanted us. And to remember that and to like really embrace that identity is so powerful and so beautiful. So yeah, I just love to remember that. Like whenever I'm having a hard time, it's like God wanted Bridget. Like even in all my imperfections, in all my whatever, like He wanted me and He still wants me. And like He made me because He wants me. And He didn't have to. And like that, just believing that's so cool.
That is cool. And it's absolutely stunningly beautiful. It really is. That's beautiful. So, my phone is. So, for the woman listening who feels faithful but overwhelmed, what's one belief she needs to let go of and one truth that she needs to take back? I think you said that in that statement. But if you wanted to elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah. So one belief is that God loves you so much. And again, I know it's easy to like say that, and it's hard to sometimes believe that. But that is like truly, if you can remember that, then everything in life will be so much brighter. And then the other thing with that too, and this one's even harder to actually believe sometimes, is that there's so much bad in the world. And sometimes you might think like, why did God allow this to happen? Why? What did I do wrong? Why is he doing this? What good could possibly come from this? And we just have to remember that like God is allowing this for some specific reason. It might not make any sense to us right now, but we just have to trust and surrender that like something good will come from it, whether it be in this life or the next. And to just remember that again, is nothing that you're doing wrong, but it's just because this is what's needed for like your sanctification and for the world. And that sounds so harsh and like terrible sometimes. But again, truly believing that you are loved and that nothing is happening that will not serve your good, like be good for you, are two of the biggest things that you can take to heart and just really believe, and that those will change your perception about things.
That is good. So we this hour has flown by. Um, I feel like I could talk to you for 3 hours easily. So we always like to end with a golden nugget, a bit of advice from you to everyone. If there was one thing that you could say to everybody that you know would improve their lives, what would it be?
Uh, I feel like it might just be what I said, where it's like God's going to use everything for your good, even if it doesn't make any sense in this world. Um, but I guess the big takeaway, though, is like, I know the nervous system work is kind of cliche and like everybody's talking about it now, but there really is something so powerful to the nervous system repair and rewiring that if you dedicate yourself to finding what are these original stories that your body learned and healing those original stories, it will literally change how you show up in every single situation. And just think about how that's going to change how you show up in life. And so just as a super quick example with that, my daughter, she's 9. A couple months ago, she was asking for an apple. I was like, sure, give me a second. I'm just switching the laundry over. And now our laundry is like literally right beside our kitchen. So it was going to take me not even 30 seconds. But in that time that I switched the laundry over, she had gotten the apple out. She'd gotten the knife. She'd gotten the bowl. She'd cut the apple up. She'd put it in bowls. And now she's done this before. So it's like we practice knife safety and stuff like that. So she knew what she was doing. But still, it's kind of alarming whenever your daughter has like a knife and is doing this without you beside her. And so I come out of the laundry and I see that she has done this. And because of the work that I do, like I could feel what was happening, where I immediately felt one of these wounds of rejection, where I was like, she doesn't need me anymore. Like she's growing up. I'm not needed. She's not going to need me. And like all those feelings that came with that. And this happened so fast, like with seconds. And I had 2 paths that I could take whenever I recognized that feeling and had that awareness. The one path was I could get angry and I could yell at her for getting the knife and doing this without waiting for me and not listening to me. Or I could take the path of saying like, wow, you did such a great job. I'm really proud of you for being so careful. Please listen next time though. And like affirming her in that. So those are the 2 paths. The one path, the not great path, would have led to yelling, would have made her probably feel very small and like she's not capable and that she's not good and she's a bad listener and all that thing. The other path would lead her to feeling very confident and like I can do hard things and maybe I need to listen better, but like I'm still a good person and still capable. And so because of this nervous system repair work that I do, again, I noticed the wound, I noticed the 2 paths, and I decided which path to take. I chose the path of affirming her and then setting clear boundaries. And we talked about it later on, and she was like, I'm so proud of myself that I can cut an apple now. Like, it's so cool that you think I'm responsible enough to do that. And you just think, if I had gone the other way, she likely wouldn't have ever said that or thought that about herself. And so we don't think about these things, like these little things like cutting an apple or saying yes or no to something, as something that will imprint upon them, but it truly does. And that she's going to take that into her adult life, into her future marriage if she gets married, into future business if she goes into business, into whatever she does in the future. And by giving her those really strong, powerful imprints now, think about all the less work that she's going to, because everybody has wounds. Even if we're the perfect parent, like perfect parent, we're all going to inflict wounds upon our kids unintentionally. But how much less work is she going to have to do on herself because of all the work that I've done on myself? And so again, if you're like, yeah, nervous system work is super important. The regulation side of it is so important for the day to day. But getting to the root of why your body feels dysregulated in the first place is more important than like anything. And so just keep reminding yourself of that, of like, why is my body dysregulated in the first place? And how can I heal that so that I show up differently for my spouse, for my kids, for my business, for whatever, for life, whatever it is that I'm doing. That's going to be so huge for every single thing that you do.
Well, I'm just feeling like it's a remarkable thing to even be able to articulate those things in your mind. When my anger strikes, it's immediate. There's a flash and there's
This has
no
been a
time for
process.
talking sometimes. Huh?
This has been a process. It does not happen overnight. Like, it takes a while to retrain your brain how to do this. But then once you retrain it, this is now your new normal, and you don't even have to think about it. It just happens like spontaneously. But the retraining takes a while and is so important. So yeah.
So if somebody that watched this says, yes, I need this for myself, do you offer all of this? Are your classes online?
Yep. I do all online stuff. I do a couple of in-person retreats every year as well on our farm, but it's mostly all online. I have a group, I have a one-on-one program, and it really is walking you through all of this repair work and then the regulation side of it. Because again, the regulation is almost like a band-aid if you don't do the repair. And so I love having women and some very occasional men come in and finding these origin stories that their body has learned and being so intentional about healing them, because even in just like a few weeks, they're going to notice a huge difference in how they show up for their family and their life. And then think about what that does with your relationship with God too, because then you actually feel comfortable saying like, okay, Lord, I surrender this to you. Whatever, like even imperfectly, but I'm choosing to surrender this to you, even though it's so scary and maybe I was hurt in the past, but like I'm being intentional about this now. And so it not only affects like this human life that we have, but also our relationship with God and like what is more important than that. So
I love it. I love it all. And I feel like I've taken 10 things away from this conversation. Been trying
good.
to take notes and pay attention. And
That's awesome.
I'm so happy to
Yeah.
have met you, Bridget. I'm glad we could have this hour together.
No, me too. I'm
I
glad that
hope
you're
we can
feeling.
have you back up sometime.
Yeah, whenever you want. I love chatting about all of this stuff. I actually do a lot around like the whole money wounds too, because so many of us, especially as Christians, have this like we need to be poor in order to be holy, and that's a huge thing that I come across. Especially, I work with a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs. It's a huge thing that we work through, and the devil just loves to feed us these little lies. And it's so easy to believe them whenever he's screaming them in our ear and God's whispering the truth over here. It's like so easy to believe the scream. And it's hard to even discern what is that little whisper that actually is God speaking. So yeah, we'd love to chat about anything else.
Well, that would be a great conversation. I think we all could use some lessons on that.
Oh goodness,
Me.
yes.
Me. We all, me and me.
No, it's definitely, yeah, we're all works in progress for sure. Yeah, nobody's perfect this side of heaven. So yeah.
Well, it was lovely to have met you. I hope you have a wonderful day. Tell all five and the Hubs we said hi. Thank you for allowing us to have you for an hour.
Thank you so much, and enjoy the nice spring weather that's eventually coming our way.
Yes.
So
We will. We will. Bye, Bridget.
all right. Bye, guys. God bless.